episode number 498. My name is John Morgan, and cold coffee is with me here in the suddenly Tropicana-less Las Vegas, Nevada, our hometown here in Sin City. Did you stay up for the implosion the other night?
I set my alarm to wake up for it.
Did you really?
I did. I set an alarm at like 2:15. I got up and I turned on the Channel 3 here in town and watched the prep for it or whatever. They had people in all these different areas, which was cool because then when it started to happen, they had different angles of it. Luckily, there's been some pretty good videos that have came out after the fact showing it. But having all the different views of the night, it was probably hands down, and as silly as this sounds, I think it's the best fireworks show that we've done here in town.
It was. Hey, well, you know what? I'll say this. So I actually
because it was a fireworks and drone show that made the lights look fantastic.
All right, so listen, they implode hotels every now and then here in Las Vegas. If you don't know, the Tropicana was opened in 1957. It had served its time. It was ready to go. It is being cleared supposedly for a baseball stadium for the Oakland Athletics, who are now the Sacramento Athletics, I guess, next year, and potentially come to Las Vegas. But there's still funding arguments and all that stuff. But regardless, the hotel had served its course. It was time to get rid of it.
And it was done by the owners of the Tropicana, who are supposed to build new ones with the stadium.
Right.
So it's not like they were just like, oh my God, all those poor people that are losing it. I mean, granted, the people that work there, it sucked for them because they immediately have to find some other place to work in the meantime. But it is the owner saying, okay, this was their idea of saying, let's move forward for the future. Yep. You know, they're supposedly gonna be building it with bigger, more rooms.
Yep.
Because it had two separate towers. Now I don't envision they're going to have two separate locations.
Yeah.
They're just going to somehow build it
It was basically like a tiny hotel that was 3 floors. Like the original hotel was only like 3 floors. You could still see the original structure. Then they added the towers one at a time. And so, I mean, it was like a piece together place. By the way, I don't remember if we talked about this here, but what they did for the employees I thought was pretty cool. They negotiated a $2,000 per year of service severance package for everybody when they laid them off, and there were 3 employees that had over 50 years of service.
Holy cow.
Can you imagine? So if you're at that point, you got to be ready to retire anyway. You know what I mean?
And you get a nice
and
little
hey,
$100,000.
here's $100K on the way out the door. I thought that was pretty cool.
And they were probably making pretty big bank anyways, especially if they're union. Some of the union people over there are getting paid fat.
Nice gigs. So they imploded it on I guess basically Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. I originally had talked about taking my kid, not out of school, probably out of school, because I mean it was 2:30 in the morning. It would have been late by the time we go home. And just going down there, it's a very, I guess, uniquely Las Vegas thing or whatever to implode these hotels. And they did, like, as you said, fireworks and a drone show and all that. So I was going to take them down there, but they made it kind of difficult to go watch publicly. And my understanding was, because the building was so old, there was a bunch of like asbestos and stuff in it that they were a little bit afraid would be some public worry and some public damage. Yeah. It still seemed like quite a few people joined
a lot
out
of
there
people
anyway.
were still out there, and they had like signs up, like, you know, saying that there might be flying debris and all this other stuff, which you don't want to get hit by any flying debris, as far as I know, you know. But it was interesting because I was watching one of the news ones, and they were off to the side, they were off the back, and they started talking about it immediately after, like, oh my gosh, that was incredible, and blah 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 blah. Hold on, there's like a bunch of plume of cloud and stuff coming, and then you see him wrapped. So they're like, hold on, let me take a break so I can put this mask on, and that's how quickly this cloud started expanding out, and that's what I think that they were initially afraid about. Is like you said, if there's asbestos in there, and who knows what other particles that have been in this building that's been there for so long, they're like, we don't want people to just be subject to that. And they're like, media, we don't care about you anyways. We're going to let you nearby, and if you're willing to go there, be prepared. Because they had glasses and they had the masks and stuff. But I think that's what they were trying to get people away from. But dude, it was crazy because it was funny.
The fireworks show and the drone show was nice.
It was fantastic. It was really nice. Like, it was, and then went off perfectly.
Yeah.
You can't fuck that up because it's like, bro, there's dynamite laid there. You can't go in there and be like, oh, sorry, something didn't fire up. Let me go check on this. It went off spotless. The way that it kept going back and forth on the top, like it was fanning out. It was lighting off down on the ground, and then it would wrap around the buildings like in this like figure 8, and then the drones were going around and spiraling around the building.
It was cool. The drones made like the Tropicana logo, and then they made like the A's logo.
Dude, it was so intense. And I was like, dude, this is the craziest, best light show fireworks I've seen in Vegas, and it's for blowing up a building.
That's a very Vegas
like when you
thing.
do the July 4th, it's fantastic because you see the synchronized fireworks that go all up and down the strip, and you see the from the multiple properties, and that's cool and all,
Yeah.
But they can only shoot really sort of up and away from like where everybody's standing down below. This one, it gave them a nice big huge parcel where they're like, dude, we're destroying everything. Use as much of the
Shoot
ground
whatever
that you
you
want. And it was long too. I mean,
Yeah.
it probably went on. It felt like it went on almost 10 minutes. It probably wasn't 10 minutes. It was probably like 5 minutes or maybe even less. But it was just a grand finale, like almost the whole entire time. It was just fantastic.
I don't know if you saw this or not. So, because as you said, there's been so I watched the broadcast live as well. So, I'm having a lot of meetings, and Rob Haydak from CFFC is in town, and we had dinner that night. Anyway,
so you stayed up for it.
well, yeah, I got home around 12:45, and it was going off at 2:30. I'm like, well, it's already 12:45.
Yeah.
I was like, I might as well just stay up. So I stayed up and watched it. It was funny because watching it live, and I don't know what channel I was watching, but probably not too many people in news coverage have covered a lot of like massive explosions. So like the lighting on the camera and the audio on the sound was like pretty crappy overall.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it was cool to watch. But the post explosion stuff that we've seen, photos and videos and social has been cool. But did you see, and I don't know why it stood out to me, because like, again, you weren't allowed to go down there. I thought about it, but I was like, well, they were like, Metro's going to be telling people to leave. I'm like, I'm not going to take my kid out at 2:40 in the morning and have to deal with that. But did you see there was like a bright green Lamborghini parked in the parking lot, like right outside, and I saw it on a couple different shots, and I think it stood out to me because it was like bright green. It reminded me of like when Connor was going to the PI and he had that, you know what I mean? So it was like one of those, and I was like, why is that there? I'm like, who's driving that down to the implosion? But I saw like a post-implosion video, and that thing was like a convertible that had the top open and stuff was just like flying into it. So I don't know whose bright green Lamborghini that was, but
wasn't a very bright idea to leave that out.
Had a cleanup job to be done afterwards.
Oh my goodness!
Anyway,
I know you're a little further south than me. Did you hear it outside?
I stayed inside, so I didn't.
I was laying in my bed, but I didn't hear anything until the final buildings. Like I could hear the.
I had my because my wife and kid were asleep upstairs and I was downstairs. I had my ear pods in listening to the audio, so that probably. So no, I did not hear because I heard you at the media day. You were asking the fighters if they heard it, but so it was that audible.
It was loud. Like I mean, the final one, I didn't hear any of the fireworks, any other stuff.
So maybe it was the building.
It was when the
falling.
buildings. I think because I watched them when the buildings, because like you see the buildings fall, and then I heard. I was like, holy cow. Didn't hear the explosion, but literally just the collapsing of all that concrete and everything.
Yeah.
Could literally hear it roll out here. I was like,
it's crazy, man.
Holy cow. So I just assumed anybody that's much closer could wake up. Because I asked, I found out where the guys are staying, and so they were staying at the Palace Station for this. I was like, if they're at Red Rock, they're never going to hear it.
Not at Red Rock.
Palace Station is just down the street.
Yep.
Like, I guarantee everybody heard it, So, but apparently, a lot of what's funny because some of the fighters are like, "Nah, I didn't stay at the host hotel." I was like, "You didn't stay at the Palace Station? Imagine that."
I feel like most people. So one of the reasons, a lot of reasons, Rob Haydak is here. So we had some meetings with Fight Pass, but also he's here to be a part of Pat Sabatini. So Pat Sabatini, former CFFC featherweight champion, is fighting this weekend. He's staying at an Airbnb, so we actually have been kind of stopping by his Airbnb. I feel like a lot of guys now want to stay at Airbnbs, and it was kind of funny. We went there a couple hours yesterday, and it's pretty cool when you got your whole team together and you can kind of like
that's it.
You can hang out, you can cook together. There's plenty of room. It was really funny. I assume they don't mind me revealing this, but like I said, they were working on a puzzle, like like a 1,000-piece puzzle. They're like, it's a fight week tradition. I sat my ass down and started working on this SpongeBob puzzle, dude. I was like,
well, I mean, you think about it, we spend enough time in hotel rooms. Like, there's not a lot of room to spread out and just sort of enjoy yourself. At least with like an Airbnb, you might have a table where you have chairs sitting around where you could actually sit and just enjoy somebody's company as opposed to feeling like you're sitting on their lap. Like everybody crowded in a hotel room just can't be that relaxing.
Nah.
I understand, like if you're coming in town and you don't have any other option and it doesn't make sense to get an Airbnb, but really, if you have that potential to do it and they're okay with it, why not, man?
Yeah, and I know the UFC is okay with it. Now, I don't know if the UFC – I didn't ask if the UFC offers any type of financial assistance with it? Because maybe not, because I can see them saying, look,
Yeah.
we offered you a hotel
You a hotel room.
If you don't want it, that's
Yep.
on you. But I could also see them saying, well, this was going to be the value of your hotel room. We can assist you with it. But
Yeah.
that seems like a lot of accounting nightmares. So
yeah,
I'm sure they're
the last
probably
thing
just
the UFC wants to do is be liable to an Airbnb on the
Yeah.
outside, because if they rent it, then they're the ones liable. So I'm sure they maybe they work it out where it's like, okay, we're going to give you the dollar value.
yeah, I'll have to ask about that.
something.
I'm sure they probably just go, look, we offered you a hotel room. If you don't want it,
Yep.
that's on you. But
Yep.
we need to know what your address is. Here's your media obligations. You need to be there,
Yep.
et cetera, et cetera.
Because you figure most people are going to bring, at most, they give you your room and maybe one other room at most, and that's usually maybe if you're higher up on
headliner,
the card.
title fight.
So they probably were willing to get hotel rooms for their team anyways. So they were like, well, we're already going to spend money. Let's just get an Airbnb and we'll all just crash it together.
Yeah.
Like, why not? We'll
It's
just
cool.
get a nicer one.
I enjoyed it. We were only there for a couple hours yesterday. Like I said, we were working on a puzzle and hanging out. Like they had a nice
Did you
little
finish
pool
your
in the backyard.
portion?
Well, see, I got a little square together, man. I got a little area.
You found the edge pieces and you put the edge pieces
Basically,
together.
I think I kind of cheated because it was like this. It's like a SpongeBob thing with like 1,000 characters in it or something. It's like one of those like Where's Waldo type scenes.
Yeah.
But there was one that there was a big sign that says like Welcome to Bikini Bottom or something. I think that's what it's called. And I was just like, oh, well, there's letters. Like, I could find those. So I was like, so I grabbed all the ones that were there. So I put a nice little section together, but I felt like I was cheating a little bit. But
yeah, because if they're like, can you assemble the ocean part over here?
Yeah, nah.
Even though then might be all right, because then you just find the matching blue or dark, whatever.
I'm on this piece right here, dog. I'm really kind of dialed in on this one.
I'm always like, I try to find the square edges first, so then you build your outside. If you can get your outside together, then you slowly start building. At least that's my strategy.
That's the strategy. It was fun, though, man. Everybody's kind of hanging out. Like I said, they had a pool outside, so they were sitting outside, and they had like a game room and stuff. So it was cool to see those guys.
That's cool.
So,
that's very cool.
Real quick, I didn't want to start on something somber, but I just want to put out there. We're talking about destruction and building stuff. I shout out to everybody that's in Tampa, man. I saw like Billy Q was, trying to find some, hiding basically, I guess, hunkering down. We at CFFC we go down to Tampa a lot, man. So like it's someplace I see 3 times a year, and there's a lot of great people down there. So I just want to give a shout out because that man, it's just.
Florida's had some rough times lately.
Looking like good scenes down
Helene,
there,
and then right into Milton.
Right after it, man.
Yeah, and when I was seeing some stuff, granted, I haven't paid as much attention to that as I probably should. I don't think it hit as hard as they were expecting.
Right.
Because I know I saw
Good. I haven't
something
seen it
at
this
one
morning.
place where I thought somebody said that they thought they were going to get 15-foot storm surges, which is like you don't make it through 15-foot storm surges. Like,
well, that's
the
what I saw. It
property
was
and
like the
everything.
mayor that said like get out or you will die.
Yeah,
like
I saw a representation online that somebody did of a previous event, and it was describing 9-foot swells and what 9 foot looked like, and it was like, how could anything make it through 9 foot?
Right.
Let alone something that was almost twice as that. I mean, that's just pure devastation. So yeah, when they were saying like that, I get it. When people don't want to leave their place, I understand that. But man, when you know that there's a potential loss of life, it's like, bro, just go.
Yeah, you have to. It sucks, but like, your life's not worth it. You know what I mean? Like whatever it is, like it's just, bro. That we got insurance. You know what I mean? We'll find a way.
And even if you don't, I mean, like
even if you don't,
there's
who
no
cares?
insurance for your life. I mean, it's tough. They keep showing this guy. Everybody's calling him
Lieutenant
Dan on his boat. And I was wondering because I thought when they were like, when I read somewhere that it didn't hit, I don't know if that's the particular area where they said it didn't hit his heart. I was like, Lieutenant Dan got somebody looking over him. Somebody,
awesome.
some guardian angel's been pulling some strings for that dude.
Still my favorite nickname that never made it public for TJ Dillashaw. When they used to call him Lieutenant Dan because he was just like, he would go into sparring like, fuck yeah, let's go.
My stepdad, when the first times he met me, before right when he was having one of his retirement parties, when he was retiring from the Air Force, a bunch of his airmen were there. I still had long hair and stuff, and he was calling me Lieutenant Dan to his fucking soldiers. I was like, fuck you. I don't even like you yet.
That's great, man. Well, look, hopefully everybody down there is doing good. Like I said, a lot of good people. We've had a lot of great nights in Tampa, and I know we have more planned for next year. And, man, just hope everybody's doing okay down there. I'm glad to hear it didn't hit as bad. I haven't had a chance to look at it this morning yet.
And I hope I didn't misspeak, but I thought one of the initial reports that I saw earlier is, but I mean, maybe it's still coming on. I know last night when they were sending out the things, they're like, guys, this is hitting in a few hours. Like, be prepared.
Yeah.
And if, so hopefully it's.
Hopefully everybody's good.
It was. Everybody prepped for it, but hopefully everybody's safe.
All right, well, listen, I know it's the MMA Road Show. You were the one traveling last week up to Salt Lake City, Utah. Alex Bejeda got the win over Khalil Roundtree Jr. I guess kind of an expected result, but I think the fight was maybe even better than people assumed. I think we were of the idea that it was going to be a fun fight. That Khalil Roundtree is a stud. We've seen him develop here, and it's cool to see him getting the respect and love that he that I think he's always deserved because he's fun and exciting, but. He had to take a loss to get it. So I think it's kind of neat to see the fallout from it.
100%. I mean, if you weren't a fan of his and didn't think that he had the heart and toughness that he showed, I mean, you can't deny anything at this one. I mean, but yeah, it was just across the board seeing the respect that from other fighters that he's getting, but let alone just all the other people, the normal fans that have just been watching it. Because I think everybody definitely was so high on Alex. With good reason. I mean, Pereira's a fucking monster. I mean, he's just an amazing specimen. And when he walks in the room, he just sort of commands the room. So a lot of the new people that have been watching the sport are like, gosh, this guy I've been hearing so much about. He's going to just destroy this other guy. Look how much taller he is and blah, 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 blah. But Khalil went out there, and I mean, he stood his ground. I mean, he was throwing, he was connecting, he was doing everything. And there was just so much heart. And when you saw that eye get busted open, and then it was just like, oh no, like that's in a bad spot, and I thought, but it was smart was when he was first fighting, like granted, fighters with when they see the cut, it bugs them, so they're always sort of touching it, but for him it almost looked like he put his hand up to block, but it almost felt like he was hiding it from the ref.
I thought so too.
Well, he's not trying to show it. And I was like, dude, that's so smart.
Yeah.
I was like, dude does not want to give himself an
out.
I
love that.
Like he's like, I'm gonna hide this and I'm gonna keep fighting.
I love it when you see like guys on the ground, they get opened up and they put their head against the opponent's chest like to cover where the cut is. You know what I mean? I'm like, you know exactly what you're doing. I'm like, I love that stuff.
Dude, it was amazing. But yeah, I mean, it was just so cool. And you saw the I don't know if you saw the clip. I didn't really look into it too much, but there was a clip of him showing up to Syndicate yesterday, or I think it was yesterday or the day before, and Wood giving a big speech to everybody, and it was just giving him a lot of praise. I saw Wood at the Contender Series
weigh-in. Cody Steele, right?
Yeah, yep. and I was like, Wood, I know. I was like, Khalil's not going to remember who I am or whatever. I was like, but I want you to express, that us as a fans and us as media that have been watching this guy forever. I was like, he made me so proud.
That's awesome.
He made Vegas proud, like his heart and what he was trying to do. I was like, can you just express to him that we appreciate what he was trying to do for Vegas and what he was trying to do? And he's like, dude. And we chat about the fight and stuff because I'd seen him the week prior. And we talked about what was coming forward and stuff like that. But yeah, Syndicate's had a fucking hell of a run of amazing fights lately.
Again, like I said, working with the World MMA Awards closely like I am now.
Yep.
I mean, again, we've still got this year's awards to hand out, which I think news coming soon on venue and date and all that. But yeah, as far as like already starting to look forward to next year's nominations and stuff, like John Wood and Syndicate, man, they're making an early case. Like Cody Steele looked amazing the other night. I mean, they got.
I mean, he certainly lived up to by the end. I wondered if towards the beginning, I give a lot of credit to his opponent for really, was it Chasen Blair?
Yeah.
For really just going and not being like, he's like, I'm coming in. I just fought like 2 weeks ago. He's like, I know everybody's saying this is the kid that nobody wants to fight. Like, you had a guy that just quit the night of that didn't want to fight him. He went out there and threw everything at him. And at first I felt like you would see these huge punches coming from Steele, but he wasn't doing as much as what everybody was initially sort of hyping him. In fact, at one point, Ioli leans over and he's like, so this is what everybody was talking about? I was like, look at his opponent, though. You got to give his opponent credit.
That's what I think a lot of people didn't realize is how good Chasen Blair is as well.
He was fantastic.
And let's not forget, too, that Cody Steele is a grappler.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he's a grappler.
He's got big power. I mean, when he throws, man. But, yeah, I mean, you just knew it was a matter of time because you could see that he was doing the bigger damage when he hit it. Because as it went on, you could see the wear and tear starting to come on Blair's face, and then you're like, okay. Yeah. I get it. Like, you can see why everybody's afraid to fight this dude. But I give more credit. I give a lot of credit to Blair. And I actually asked Dana about the end. I was like, you see a guy like, that steps up against a guy that people are afraid to fight. Is this still the guy? Did he do enough of it for you? Because we don't have a ton of contenders left that you could try to bring this guy back. There's only one more. But I was like, did he do enough? And he's like, with that performance, he's like, I wouldn't be surprised if Sean and them need something. They give him a call.
I agree.
I thought he earned it with that. So, but yeah, I thought Steele did a great job. I mean, like, he's every bit like what people say. I mean, he got to the point. At first, I was like, man, everybody's been hyping this kid up, hyping him up.
Yeah.
And he eventually got there. But I give Blair a lot of credit. And
Steele looks like a name to remember, man.
Yeah.
And
it's so cool, and especially when you say like he's a wrestler. Like we were watching his hands on display. Like I don't think there was a takedown at all.
That's well-rounded. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Anything else from Salt Lake City?
That was a fun night, though. This past Contender Series was probably one of the best ones.
It was a fun night. Some great knockouts. Like, very good. So, you guys have any stories? You guys make it out to Area 51? Or?
Oh, my God, did we? So we get there, but it turned out it was goth night. It was goth music took over the whole weekend. So, because we show up, and the dude was taking the money at the front. Had like fangs. I first noticed his fangs, and I was just like, okay. And he was all dressed. Just imagine goth dude with like this dark hat and like fangs. And there was something I was like, is the karaoke room open tonight? And he's like, no. In fact, there's bands going on there. There was some name that they gave it, the goth. Blah, 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 whatever.
Goth Lake City?
Goth Ball, yeah.
Goth Ball.
So and I was with Jose and, now I'm going to forget, Dustin?
Okay.
The guy that Oscar brought out there to train with him. So.
Oscar didn't make it out, though?
No, he was good.
All right.
And he was good, but he was definitely just because Oscar would have loved it. So we were like, guys, do we want to go in there? Because it would have been normally $10, but it was $20 since there's live bands and all the other shit. We were like, all right, we're here. Why not? Let's go in. Dude, it was so much fun.
Yeah.
It was like the bands were really good. Like some of the goth bands are like they were like, there was one that was like emo electric goth band. Another one was like, it was all very goth-like stuff. There was all a lot of electronic. They had like, I saw like a bass player, a guitar player, but a lot of synth stuff and a lot of stuff, and then the singing and stuff and the lights, whatever. But it was pretty fucking cool. They had
Did any of you guys lead a mosh pit out there? Or?
No. Unfortunately, we would have wrecked the place if we did that. And we're not very big, tough goth ones. It was not a hardcore night.
That's awesome.
And then we ended up playing pool, which was fun. The dance floor was fun to watch, to spectate for a little bit. But no, it was fun. And, yeah, we ended up having a really good time. But, yeah, it wasn't what we expected.
That's great.
But I'm glad we stuck around. But, yeah, we told Oscar. I was glad that he was good. He stayed home. In fact, because we had dinner just prior, had a couple beers. And I was like, well, I don't want to just go home and sit just to wait to, like, go to this bar because it didn't open for, like, another hour. I was like, let's just sit here. And we had a couple drinks. And Oscar's like, all right, well, I'm going to use that as my cue to go home. I was like, Oscar, good boy, good boy. So he went. And when we told him the next day, he was like, I was having the itches or whatever. And I was like, dude, you would have loved it. But I'm really glad that he didn't. And look at him now. I just saw a clip of him doing a press conference because they moved. I assume he did the press conference. I don't know if they have everybody speak or if they moved it because apparently he's on the main card.
They got bumped up to the main card.
Thanks, Uncle Dana.
Oscar Willis Fight Week, Ben Davis Fight Week. They're fighting in BKFC this Saturday morning. So, of course, we're going to talk about the UFC. And, of course, we watch that, but you can watch BKFC from Marbella, Spain, and watch these two media colleagues throw down. But, yeah, to your point, it was
supposed to be like
10 a.m.
It was supposed to be like 10 a.m. It was like the first fight. We were all going to watch it on YouTube in the morning.
Right.
And that's the thing. Like, Dana was like, when is it? Okay, I'll watch it. And now it's going to be like 1-something our time. So, like, we're going to be in the middle of, I assume, sitting up over here for the prelims.
Oh, yeah.
I think the prelims, I think it's a later start. This one, I haven't seen the... Because I want to say, because usually if the media day is later, it's usually because of the whole day's later. But I want to say, is it at 12 or 1 o'clock?
I think it's 1 o'clock start time if I remember right. I don't want to get that wrong, but I believe it is 1. Let me double check that. Yeah, I believe it's 1 p.m. prelims. Yes, 1 p.m. prelims Pacific time, and 4 p.m. main card. So you think they're going to overlap?
Yeah, I think there's be some, because I want to say it's like 1-something. Somebody tried doing the time and they were like 1-something, and I assume they were talking about Pacific time at the time or whatever. Which means, yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if it's going to even be on the YouTube. We might have to actually
get DAZN
or whatever to watch it or something.
I'm sure Dana will chip in for the.
I'm sure we can get us in the media room. Somebody will pull it together or something.
They still have it. Damn, on BKFC.com, they still have it listed at the.
Is the first fight?
Yeah.
Well,
but I heard it got bumped up to the main card as well.
Who knows? I mean,
so anyway, be on the lookout.
Be on the lookout. But yeah, I mean, so it's kind of fun to see that clip of him earlier. He's like, "Yeah, I'm normally on the outside, down there with you, asking questions. So blah blah blah, I'm up here." And then it cut off. So I'm not sure what the rest of you said. Maybe he said some silly shit and he didn't want to put it out or something.
Oh, did he put the clip out?
Yeah, he put the clip out. And then I saw Ben got enlisted KSI to do something today, like, "Hey, you're gonna get your ass beat by him, my boy," or something like that.
Is KSI in Spain as well?
I guess because he was there at the thing. I don't know if he's maybe just watching it. He's not fighting on it.
No,
right?
no.
But yeah, but he was right there. So unless that
maybe
was something Ben got
from
before and then just held on to it or something.
That's funny.
But yeah, I was like, Dan, you gonna answer that? You gonna let that boy talk about your boy?
Hey, listen. In fairness, like these two guys have done as much to promote this card as anybody else on the event.
I have no idea who else is on the event.
And that's no disrespect. Really, they have been out there, right? I mean,
yep.
you got to give them some respect for that. I mean, certainly a media member is going to understand how to promote things in the media better than a fighter is.
Yeah.
But to their credit, they've both done a lot of work to do it. Like they actually do it. Now, what the fight's going to look like, we'll find out. I was actually curious if you were getting the, I think about like. I was gonna call it like the Ray Longo effect, right? But like Ray, and I love Ray Longo a lot, but Marab, born and raised in his gym, then he moves to Syndicate and wins the title, and so it's like you've crafted this man from raw clay, you know what I mean, and you've hardened him into chiseled steel here in the hard coffee gym, and then he goes and then he flies across the country and he gets across the ocean, in fact, and he's like, get Dan Hooker over here, like where's the invitation to cold coffee, like
I think he went the right route.
Okay.
I think and to be fair, he probably considers Syndicate home base. I'm just the auxiliary gym off to the side, which is fine. I'll still have my stress.
I guess the strength and conditioning guy doesn't normally travel with the team, right?
Nah, he's the unsung hero, the unsung hero. That guy the occasional pad holder, At the end of the day, they only remember who's in the corner, anyways.
It's these glory hounds out there, man. Dan Hooker trying to get himself in the countdown.
I did actually ask Oscar, though. I was like, dude, because when I saw the clip of him welcoming Dan when Dan got there, and so I asked him, I was like, what was his route? He said, because you hear Dan say, like, this was so far, whatever. New Zealand to Dubai to Barcelona to Malaga. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Like, that's ridiculous.
That's a long way.
That's when you know he's a friend.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, granted, he loves the fight game, but I mean, like, that shows you right there. Dan, he's a friend. He likes Oscar a lot. Like, 'cause that's a lot to ask of somebody to, like, will you hop on a plane for literally days to come support me for no money? I'll get you beers. I'll get you food. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, I mean, I guarantee the whole media room is just going to be like, can we please not have fights going on right now because we're not paying attention?
I was going to say, like, hopefully the way it shakes out. Like I said, I'm looking at BKFC.com right now, and it still hasn't listed as the first fight of the night, but we believe that's not the case anymore.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind if it's the first one, just so we know we could watch it.
Because it'd be done. But it would be cool if, like, maybe it happens, like, because I'm sure they'll pull it up at the Apex, right? Like, maybe somebody will.
I mean, I know us in the media room will have something, but as for them putting on the TV,
probably not on the TV. But at least you guys watch it.
Because the feed comes from elsewhere. They would have to have somebody upstairs pipe it in, and they're not going to.
Well, so it was supposed to start at 10 a.m. on prelims. They were 10 a.m. Pacific, and there were 3 prelims. They were the first one. If they got moved to the first fight of the main card, that would probably be like 11:30 or 12. That would be great if it happened sometime between like noon and 1, like right before the first fight walked for the UFC event on Saturday, so that like all you guys in the media room could actually, I might be in the media, I'm still not exactly sure what I'm doing on Saturday, but where everybody could watch it like right before the first fight walked for the UFC.
That would be the most ideal.
That'd be ideal.
Because I mean, nobody's going to pay attention. But I mean, there's a lot of fights that we end up missing. He says he still doesn't know. I just hit him up. I was like, all right, so what time is your fight? He says they moved him twice already.
So they're still trying to figure it out.
So they're still trying to get it sorted. So at the end of the day, we know worst case, he's probably going to be the first fight of the night, which might be the best case for us to actually watch it. I would love for them to get the shine of the main card. But honestly, Oscar probably doesn't want to be on the main card.
More people will watch it on YouTube than on DAZN.
Yeah, and I mean, like, if you're on the main event, people are going to think that you're actually, like, trying to be like this. Like, they're just trying to have some fun.
Right.
You know, he probably doesn't want a bazillion eyeballs in person and broadcast around the world. If it lives on YouTube, it's not like it's going to be archived with the show.
Right.
You know, like at the end of the day when they package up the event, and maybe he doesn't want that, you know, but who knows? You know, who knows? He says he believes 11 to 11:30 now.
That'd be good.
That would be ideal for us.
Yeah, because then everybody can watch it.
That's still not first of the fight, though, so they did move it closer to the main broadcast. But I wonder.
Like I said, it doesn't matter because it's not like they're trying to build a career out of this. But I mean, they do deserve some respect for promoting the hell out of it, man. They've done a lot. Like they do deserve some shine for that, both of them.
And I mean, to get to the point where the UFC president is chatting about it and acknowledging that one of the guys fighting, and he's like, "Oh shit, okay, well I'm gonna watch it." I guarantee BKFC was like, "Dude, that's all we want." You know, it was like, we want that. He says he argued heavily for YouTube, which is the prelims.
Yeah, that'd be.
I totally agree.
It's like when Uriah Faber used to say, "I'd rather fight in the featured prelim than on the main card because I know more people are going to watch it on ESPN than they're going to watch it on pay-per-view." So I would do the same. I would say the same thing. The better spot would be on YouTube because as much as people want to watch it, I think a lot of people watch it for free. I don't know if they're necessarily going to sign up for a DAZN membership to watch the fight. You know what I mean? And no disrespect to them, but I mean that's just the reality of everything. That's what everybody's trying to do right now is sell subscriptions, but you know what you're asking, right? It's difficult sometimes to get people to go into their pocket. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I like the idea of YouTube as well.
Yeah, he sent me a text. I won't. It's a conversation that somebody must have been happening within like. The organization.
I mean, these are internal team communications happening among the Willis camp here.
You know, they definitely they wanted to make it more so. I want to say it was Feldman that wanted to push it, but it's like, you know, Dana's not going to download a damn app to watch it. You know, like if you want Dana to watch it, keep it. But I can see where they're like, dude, if there's a potential that the president's going to watch it, the UFC CEO is going to watch it, they want him to watch the main shit.
Can you imagine? What if he's got it marked on his calendar, right? He's ready to go. Like, Dana has no idea what's going on as far as updates, right? But he's got it on his calendar. He's told Eric, his social media manager, hey, man, remind me on Saturday at this and time that I want to watch this. All right, boss, we got you. We go to sit down, and they're like, hey, we got an update. It's not actually on YouTube. It's on DAZN. And you got to pay a membership for it, or he's like, I know this illegal streaming site that I can pull it up for you real quick.
Yeah.
What does Dana do?
Dana's like, I don't touch the computer anyway. Just put it on for me. He's like, just do it. So I asked him.
Actually, Dana's like, hey, I don't want to illegally stream it, but I don't want to sign up. Can you just buy DAZN for me, like the whole company? Like,
how do I put that on my flip phone? Mary used to always have his damn flip phones.
It's flip phone.
And you see him flip it out.
Remember, he bought like a bunch of them, like so that when they would wear out, he'd have another one that he could replace it with. Hilarious.
They look, which might have been like, Dana, those look like burner phones now at this point. Like he's like,
you do.
Just get rid of the body. Flip, throws it out. Bury this with the body. So we'll see if he responds. But I told him we were recording the podcast and that we were chatting on him to see if he has any words for the show that we should share. It's funny. I read it just because I misspelled it and I just literally read it. I said any words for the shoe we should share, and I literally just read it back, even though I fixed it.
He's so confused. He's like, "Why would I have a word for a shoe?
Talk to my shoes.
Talk
Oscar.
to the shoe. Like, what does that have to do?"
So
with
he's
it?
typing something. So we'll see. So as soon as I get that from that, I'll impart. HotTea's words just days away from his fight. But he knows we're chatting about him. So.
That's awesome. Well, we'll all be tuned in.
Sending him good vibes.
Absolutely. Sending him lots of good vibes. All right. It is a UFC weekend on Saturday. The UFC returns with a flyweight headliner between Tatsuro Taira and Brandon Royval, which I think is a really good fight.
It's a great fight.
I think, as usual, not trash talkers, either one of them. So not, big headlines leading into it in terms of controversy. Also, the flyweight division sometimes flies a little bit under the radar, what have you, and it is just an Apex. By the way, the Apex, construction in full gear now, by the way,
Dude,
man.
all of a sudden, like, the dirt is now taking shape.
Right? Like, you've been taking pictures of dirt. Now they got walls put up.
Because they had, I think one of the last events there, they had the bottom portion of that wall, just sort of the foundation, and then they had a bunch of, like, the rebar, the bars, like, shooting up where you could tell something was going. But then, when we showed up yesterday, it's, like, twice as tall as it was. And it's starting to show much more shape, and then you're starting to see things around the outside of it a little bit more. But yeah, it's funny. I did. I think I didn't know if I took pictures yesterday because I knew I was going to be back there this week. So I'll take some on Friday when I go over there to show the different ones.
Some real progress being made.
It is crazy. But it's funny. I take so many damn pictures of the dirt. Now Google my phone and like. It sends me, it's like, oh, we've stylized this pic for you. I'm like, oh, cool. I wonder what this pic is. And I'll open up, and it's an HDR, like, colorized version of the dirt out front of the Apex. I was like, oh, my God, I'm taking so many pictures of the dirt. My phone thinks that, oh, hey, you must really like this. Let me stylize this for you.
The algorithm's got you covered, bro.
It's so ridiculous. I'm like,
that's gonna be you're gonna be getting like Google driving recommendations to like construction sites.
Now, it's like, remember this day in 2024, and it's just gonna be a picture of like dirt in front of the Apex or stuff. But yeah, no, it'd be funny because I don't know what I'll do with them. Maybe I'll put them all together once it finally gets done. But they are making some serious progress. You've seen where. Some of the windows on the front, they've covered over it now, and on the inside, you're starting to see framing of the different hallways that or the doorways and hallways that are going to be taking place. So it's coming along. We still haven't heard anything for like closing down or anything like that. They seem to be moving forward, and I guess maybe as a last minute, they would say, hey, we're going to do. But honestly, maybe it's in their best favor because 2025 hasn't started taking shape at all.
Right.
We have no inclination of anything where the UFC is going to be. I think maybe there was something in January that's been sort of said or speculated or whatever. But, I mean, outside of nothing, we don't know anything. So at this point, they're like, why do we have to say we're closing down if we're not even sure where we're going to be? I know everybody's like, please, we don't want to do the Apex, do blah, 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 blah.
I'm like,
but
I mean, Apex.
I love it. It's close. But, I mean, if your main thing is like, hey, there's no fans there, if they fix that, problem and they allow much more fans to where it's rowdy in there and it's not as quiet, does that fix it? Or do you need to see the fact that the UFC is on the road? Was that the main gripe is that people are like, oh, they're fighting in front of very limited people. If they put it to where there's
if you put 1,500, 2,000 people in there and it's loud and it's
will people be quiet?
It's funny though. My biggest thing that I joke about is for all the people that hate on the Apex, they love the Contender Series. That is also inside the Apex. You know what I mean? Like, why?
And there's even sometimes less people.
There's less people. I'm like, so why is it okay for Contender Series, but it's not okay for the UFC? Like, I don't get that side of it.
Because they're not UFC fighters.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't get that. But yeah, and look, I would love to see it. I mean, because of course, atmospheres make things great. But selling out 17,000 seat arenas right now, and listen, man, we're sitting here talking about. I mean, before we went on air, we're both kind of. I mean, the economy right now is not great. Like people's expenditure, the disposable income that they have to spend money. So like, the more you can do
down
as a
the
company,
disposal.
It's been put down the disposal. So, but yeah, I'm interested to see what they do with it. Again, they haven't really talked much formally about plans. I mean, we've asked. I asked to do an interview with Dana White or whoever. And in fact, my request was actually Dana or anybody else that is authorized to talk about the construction at the Apex. It doesn't need to be Dana. In fact, I'd almost like somebody that's maybe more directly involved in what the operations are, because they'd
actually knows what's taking place.
That's more knowledge
at a more in-depth level than
the
just
micro
a
level.
top level. They're like, where he's like, well, we're expanding. Yeah. Dana's like, we're expanding things. We're going to put more events.
All right.
How many more water closets is that, Dana? How many more
water closets? Yeah. Look at you European son of a gun.
Well, that's plumbing terminology. So, water closet is any enclosed thing where, like the toilets that have the doors. That's a water closet.
So maybe it's not even a European thing. Maybe I just made that up. It just sounded very highbrow to me, and highbrow means
a
European.
Water closet. So like the stand-up stalls are one of the particular things but the water closets is one of the numbers that goes into the factory.
Got it.
Enclosed things. They want people to be able to pee and poop in private, like more so than just a trough. I mean, like, Ohio Stadium, it's still. I mean, a lot of the major stadiums, like at a lot of schools, still employ like the big troughs.
Oh.
It is what it is. When you got to go, you got to go. You
Yeah.
don't fucking care, But most indoor venues do not employ the trough, anymore. Even though in Europe and a lot of that shit, I always trip out when you go to the ones where it's like you step up on like the wire grates,
Yeah, that's
and
weird.
then you pee into the trough because so it captures the drip. So rather than the floor,
weird,
it makes
man.
sense, but it feels fucking weird to
Yeah.
step on that thing because I'm like, please don't break, please don't break, please don't break, or please don't slip, please don't slip on this thing. So yeah. So, but I mean, if they figure out the problem, if that's what everybody's been griping because they hate the atmosphere inside there, and to be fair, fighters have said, I want to fight in front of people. I fight differently if
There are
there's people.
some people that like it. There's some people that hate it.
Yeah.
Right? Brandon Royval said, I wasn't really thrilled about fighting the Apex,
Yep.
but I want a main event. I want to fight 5 rounds. So there's certain people that really feed off that energy, and there's others that kind of like, I like it because it's calm and it keeps my heart rate down. I don't feel the nerves. I don't feel the pressure. Like I feel like I'm just training, and I feel much more relaxed. So it's
Money's the same. Money's the same whether it's the Apex or whether it's at T-Mobile. If you ain't getting points, it don't really matter. But I mean, you want them to have a decent environment. So I mean, even if they ratchet it up to where you're getting a couple thousand people in there, a couple thousand people in that room will sound loud as all get out.
Super
if
loud.
they start cheering, like it'll be very, very loud. And Contenders Night, when we hear one side really cheer, or you hear 13 family members cheer, it gets pretty darn loud with just 13. So imagine if you take that and you times it by 10 or 100. So, but it's interesting to see. But, I mean, I guess we'll see once next year starts to shape up. But, at this point, we've heard nothing that says that we won't be there and that we can't be there. There's still supposed to be, I think, that event in November or December. Is there one that still hasn't really listed?
There's nothing in December because there's December 7th. Well, there's December 7th at T-Mobile Arena, and then there's December 14th. Theoretically in Tampa, Florida. I mean, I imagine that's still 2 months away. So I imagine unless this was just absolutely tragic in Tampa. I mean, 2 months is still a long time to rebuild and get ready. I did see like the roof came off a Tropicana field or whatever. That looked pretty devastating.
Well, it was crazy because like even outside of the hurricane, a lot of places where the water pushed in it spawned tornadoes. So tornadoes did a lot of crazy damage as well. And I mean, like that's just horrific.
Tornadoes are scary. I used to get those in Texas where I grew up. But there is nothing. So that would give them the entire month of December. They usually take the first 2 weeks of January off as well in the ESPN era because they've got so much other programming on.
So November 9th, that's the UFC Vegas 100. The week before, UFC 309. So that'll be the last one. And then we got Macau. And then, Tampa. I would assume that's good. And then we get to have the Christmas break off.
Yeah, so I guess really the last one at the Apex is November 9th, and then the first one is January 11th. So that's a solid 2 months of nothing at the Apex where they could really, you can bang out some construction in 2 months.
And at one point they were saying that the thing was only the initial we had heard. I thought we heard 2 months, or maybe we heard 8 weeks or 2 months. I mean, they're doing work. I mean, they're digging in. But then by the time we were done with media day yesterday, they were gone. So I mean, they started pretty early and then they were gone midday. So I think if they were in a crunch, they could probably employ like 2 different crews.
Yeah, because you can work around the clock, especially during that time of year because it's not going to be hot.
Just throw up some lights at night and just keep going.
It was funny. So you were there in the media day. I was there in the lobby with Rob Haydack, Miranda Granger. We were waiting on a meeting, and I was watching some of that construction. Yeah. My God, not that I know much about construction, but they were trying to like dig into the foundation, and here in Vegas, like it's not soil. It's like concrete, man. They're literally like having to like take the thing and just like ram it into the rocks.
It sounded like they were like tearing up concrete.
That's what it looked. That's
what
I assumed it was.
Concrete.
And I looked underneath it. I was like, no, that's just a packed ass foundation of rock here.
It's crazy.
It's nuts.
It's crazy.
So a very tight media day yesterday, just 6. I think that had to do with the Fight Pass Invitationals going on. They had weigh-ins. They were doing much of that. I also heard they were filming some stuff for Power Slap yesterday as well. So they had a lot of stuff going on at the Apex. So that means that you guys ended up speaking to just 6 of the athletes on the card. Sounded like a very what would be the word? Not a lot of many people there, basically. Just sounded like not a lot that were asking questions, basically. It sounded like it was a lot of you and Amy Kaplan and Alex Buchanan, and that was.
But it was nice. I mean, it was quick and easy. I mean, like I wish they would do more 6 people at media days, to be honest, on a lot of the ones. But it was nice. I mean, we got in, we got out. It still felt like it was like almost like a full day. But yeah, we started early, which was nice, and then kind of cruised through the ones. But the guys we got to talk to, the main, co-main. We didn't get Cheaty or Jared. I was surprised by that, but I didn't mind.
I think it was just because I think they switched the bout order on this one as well. Because look, I mean, honestly, D-Rod and Alex Morono would have been a good one to bring in. They didn't bring them in. Yeah. So that was kind of weird. I think it just got moved around a little bit. Is basically what happened.
Yeah, and we didn't get Al Hassan, who's always fired up.
I love Al Hassan.
Like he's always good. But I mean, I'm not complaining. They probably would have added some spice to the day, but I didn't mind it. I mean, but there was some unique stuff. I mean, like, granted, one of the
bottom line is the highlight was Jin Young Park, right? I mean, that's really like when the Iron Turtle's there for you, like that just makes cold coffee's day right there.
That's my dude. But one of the things talking about, the discussion of him. And we assumed that when that fight got canceled last time, we assumed, because they said medical reason, we assumed it was staph.
Right.
You know, I remember at the time when it got called because they made weight and everything was fine, and then it was just after it didn't get clear, and we're like, okay, well, that's got to be like a staph thing. So I'm trying to pour over the pictures. I'm like, do I see anything? I'm like, maybe I see something on his chest. I'm not quite sure. But then in the media day, he says, well, they found some small spot on the back of his ear. And I'm like, that's random, you know, like, that's random. I was like, I'm sure there was maybe some other thing, but, you know, it goes to show that, I mean, they must really check your shit, but maybe also think like, well, okay, well, it wasn't something on his chest. But one of the things that came from it, you know, was like when we were talking to Brad Tavares and a lot of the other fighters, Brad was like, I don't care that he had staph.
I thought that was funny.
Like, we still would have fight. I mean, like, I think when you go to you always hear from time to time different gyms run through these different phases where they'll have a breakout of like staph, and it goes through the gym. People go through and they'll sterilize it, and it's just like a normal matter of practice, I guess. At a lot of gyms, they just assume, you know, that it's going to be floating around, and that's why they tell you wash your shit, take a shower, do whatever afterwards. You know, that's why they have the showers at the gym. So maybe it's a better reason to not go home sweaty if you're rolling around the gyms to actually do and, you know, use the showers, or when you get home, shower your shit, you know, and take care of it then and quickly rather than just not. But a lot of the fighters, when asked about it, I know on the outside, we've seen pictures, we've seen these moments when there's been really bad staph outbreaks and staph infections, where almost to the point where, you know, even I think he brought up like Kevin Randleman, where Randleman, it was like a hole.
Yeah,
like we've seen
like
nasty ones, and Kaplan brought up a picture of like when Mac Desi had it on his knee, and that was like another big ass gaping hole. Like, we see images like that, and we're like, how would anybody want to fight with something like that? But a lot of other guys, like, they've either had it and they didn't have those big crazy outbreaks, so they're like, dude, if I know he's got it and I got it and we both agree, that's cool. I'd rather just fight and let's just get on with it, you know? And so as I ask more fighters, I'm like, you know, if you know that your opponent's got staph, would you still fight? I mean, you cool with it? And just like everyone resoundingly was like, yes.
I think you're 100% right about that. I watched all the media day interviews, and I thought it was kind of funny, you know, Brad saying it, because he was like, I know somebody's probably going to tell me I'm being stupid for saying this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Like, I don't care. But I think what it boils down to is not just the fighters, but if you're in fight number one and you have staph and you're on that canvas, then technically every other fighter is exposed to it. And also the support staff as well. The cutmen, the doctors, the other, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I think the spirit of the rule is, where it's not just like
highly contagious,
right? Where it's not just like your opponent can be like, bro, I don't care, me and you are good. It's everybody else around. That's what I believe the spirit of the law.
And I think that makes a lot of sense. I mean, you're not fighting in a vacuum; you're fighting in a shared space. So, like, when that shit gets on the canvas and somebody else is laying on that canvas, you're introducing that to their body as well, and it's like, it's not fair. It's not clean. It's not hygienic. Like, you're not supposed to do that shit. But it's just crazy because, you know, one of the things they also too, like Grant Dawson was like, I fought my last fight with staph or whatever, and I was like, I appreciate you sharing. I didn't say this to him. I was like, I appreciate you sharing. I was like, you probably shouldn't have shared that, you know, like. And so a lot of guys, you know, but it was just, that was very eye opening for me. Is that, you know, like on the outside, you know, the staph is a boogeyman. I know I don't want to be around. I know if I know there was an outbreak at a gym, I don't want to go work out at the gym because I don't want to bring that shit home. I don't want. Just for the fact, because we've seen those horrific cases. If it's not that bad, I get it. I get the understanding. I can see whether you're like, bro, if I'm afraid of ever getting staph, I'll never go to another gym. Like, 100%. They'll never walk into the gym. I think they just accept it. Yeah. And then they understand, you know, like, okay, it's going to be on me to be
Take a
hygienic
shower,
and,
be
and
clean,
shower
yeah.
and be clean and take care and lessen the possibility. It's just one of those things. But
I'll tell you the other thing that
know.
was I thought was eye-opening was Brad said he got paid, and Junior Park said he didn't
we
get
saw
paid.
that as well. Now, on the flip side, and because I talked with Captain about that a little bit too, you have one person. I can see where the UFC is like, okay, Brad, on you carry zero fault in this. You know, you made the weight. A lot of times when we've seen people make weight, they've given the show money.
Right.
So I was glad that they did that.
But
the only thing
he didn't say his full show money though. He just said he got.
He said he got paid. Yeah, we didn't
right.
clarify. So I guess we just assumed it was show. Because even some things with that we've heard in the past where if you get your show money, that takes one of the fights that they need to owe you from your contract, and then if you don't have any other fights in your contract, do you want that to be, if that's even the case? I can see where somebody is like, well, I don't want to take that show money, lose a fight on my contract. I want to bet on myself. I don't want to just settle for one check.
Right.
Let's just push this fight back, and then I'll take the potential to get 2 checks. But as for like the Iron Turtle in this one, I can see where there was the potential that the UFC is like, I bet you knew that you had the potential to have this fight called off with Steph. Steph's not something that just, hey, I'm here this morning.
Right.
I know you didn't know about me. It was not like a surprise. So I can see where maybe they were like, you didn't do your due diligence. This wasn't like you got sick by food poisoning the day of. This is something that you came into fight week with knowingly, and you put the fight at jeopardy. So I can see where maybe they were like, we're not going to do the same.
I think, and listen,
but that's just speculation. I mean,
again, and that's, but at least you're thinking through it because you're right. Like, but this is what I wish, and we've talked about this before, but I'll say it again. I wish there was standardized language in contracts, because basically what happens in any of these situations, you've got to go negotiate with Sean Shelby or Mick Maynard, and they figure it out. And I know just from talking to them and other people off record that essentially they try to make it realistic. Like, if we know we can get you booked again next week, we're not paying you anything because we're just going to move this fight a week, or we're going to move this fight 3 weeks and you're going to get your paycheck. But if it's like, well, you paid for your training camp and we have no spots open for 6 months, we're going to give you some money because we don't want you to lose money for your training. So they try to be reasonable. I mean, they really do. Like, I know
they tried to rebook it, and that was, did you catch that part too, where Brad's like, they offered him a date that was like a month or 2 months after that, and he still said no. And he was like,
and I would assume that's why they're like, bro,
probably, we're going to give you something.
We offered you a chance.
Yep.
You said no, so we'll see you when we see it. Whereas Brad was like, I was in, so like, all right, we're going to cut you off a little something to make sure your training camp's covered, to make sure you don't. And that's kind of how it works out. And again, you don't know why Junior Park, maybe it was the weight cut. He was focusing on how difficult the 2 weight cuts was. Whatever it may be, you know what I mean?
Two weight cuts.
2 weight cuts. That was his. He knew English in that moment, man. It was great.
Well, and before I forget that, I wonder if that too, the English, the translation. So say that fight day, maybe some things get lost in translation. Where if you speak the language, and where maybe Brad be like, well, hey, I did my part. Let me chat with you. Where Jun Young Park might not be like, I can't just say that.
Right.
I'd have to say it to a translator, or maybe I'm not quite.
Maybe the translator doesn't express it exactly correctly.
And maybe there's just with the whole having to go through another person to ask for what's in his head, where maybe if somebody was there that had a better understanding of the situation, that maybe could have pushed it.
Yeah.
Maybe they were too polite to say like, hey, can we get something from it? Maybe it was never offered because nobody ever asked for it.
You're 100% true, because I could see, like, if they were like, hey, we could book you in 4 weeks or whatever, and he's like, nah, not realizing, well, if I book you in 4 weeks, you know what I mean, we'll get you some money. If not, you know what I mean? Like, not knowing what the ramifications of the decision were. So again, that just points back to, I wish there was standardized language here. You know what I mean? Standardized, like, look, here's what happened in the circumstance. It's very easy. We have it in the bylaws. This is what you get paid. You're entitled to this. You're not entitled to that. You know what I mean? It's something. And again, I know we're a long way from that, and like collective bargaining would make that great, but that's never going to happen. I just don't believe they'll ever unionize or associate in the sport. But I wish that was something that maybe managers or whoever would push for, so that when we get in these situations, it doesn't have to be about negotiations. You know what I mean? It should just be like, I made weight. He can't fight. He got ruled medically ineligible. Like, I get paid, right? So, anyway.
So, I mean, I didn't really read them, but I know people have been getting upset because people haven't asked about it. A lot of fighters like Shane Carwin, some others have been releasing these stories about their current situations. Now, besides that is obviously their right to put these things out, but a lot of them would put them out like in these legal things that they're submitting. What is that for? And what is their hope to try to do
The
with that?
hope is that the judge does not
Accept the new money amount?
that does accept the new amount. Because remember, everybody came to a table and they're all like, hey, we're all good. And it was Judge Boulware who said, nah, this isn't good enough. You guys are going to have to go read it. So they submitted another one.
Yeah.
And this time they're coming to you like, hey, not
So
only
they're trying to convince the judge.
to
It's not like
please approve
they're
this.
trying to have the UFC change their mind or whatever.
They're basically, the fighters are talking about how bad it is and essentially arguing on the side. I wouldn't say on the side of the UFC because obviously but it's like
they want them to clear it.
let's
So
settle
I mean,
this.
because there was a media member that was like, "Why aren't people asking about these submissions that the
to ask Dana?
yeah."
Well, first of all, Dana has spoken openly about the fact that I mean, look, it's a 100% fair question.
Yeah, but I'm just
But
wondering.
Dana
But
could
like,
easily just be like, I don't deal with that. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
but if the submissions are trying to get them to agree with what the UFC's done, it like. What's
What
he
would the
supposed
question
to say?
be? What would the question be?
say? Like,
That might be what you want to ask is, well, what is the question? I mean, look, it's a very
are they wondering if Dana read the things or like because he doesn't read that shit anyway? He'd just say that's the lawyers.
100%. That's what he would say. I'm sure, or maybe the question would be, does it concern you that these athletes are not in a good physical or health state or mental state? Or, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Maybe that would be the question. But I think the answer to that would be
then
like,
he'd be like, well, we submitted this thing. Have this judge get off his ass and accept it.
right. But I could see him also just saying like, I mean, it's combat sports. You know what you signed up for. You know what I mean? It's not like anybody's ever tried to say to you that like this is not a dangerous profession. You know what I mean? That your body is not going to end up wrecked. I mean, that's kind of what it's kind of what combat sports is, right? Is you're saying like, look, I know that I'm going to sacrifice the well-being of my body, but I'm going to do it for some financial gain along the way.
So in these submissions, are they written to the judge?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and they're basically, and some of them, and I will say, if you go read some of them are very heartbreaking. Some of them
I saw
are
a highlight of the Shane one.
Some of them are also very clearly like copied and pasted language.
Yeah.
How
many were submitted?
That's a good question. I don't remember the exact number.
Because I saw there was Carwin's, and then I feel like there was another one that that was along the lines of that was part of the Lee case. Was it? I can't remember who it was. But yeah, I saw that, and I'm glad you clarified because I mean it was like right in the middle of fight stuff, and then they were like, I saw that they had writ stuff, and I was like, what are they trying to change? Because I thought they were already beyond that point. Because I thought they were either trying to provide evidence, but I was like, it's already beyond that point at this point. It's not like they can submit
more than
evidence.
50 fighters, according to what I'm reading. By the way, this is interesting. If approved by it goes back. We've talked about this before, but this is just I googled it, and the first article that came up looks like a lawyer, a legal website. CohenMilston.com.
So it might have just aggregated it from
it's
other
yeah,
stuff.
it's an aggregation, but this is interesting. If approved by the court, 35 fighters will get the highest payout of more than $1 million, and around 100 will receive more than $500,000. The remaining fighters will net approximately $50,000 to more than $250,000. There are 1,100 total fighters in the Lee class. It was more than 50 fighters that submitted declarations.
In that first class, the Lee class.
Yes, but it's interesting. Like, it's just the 35 fighters that will get the highest payout of more than $1 million include like Brock Lesnar, Ronda Rousey. So that part of it.
I mean, they need it the most.
They're hurting. They just got to get through.
Did they submit something?
They did not.
Interesting.
Yeah. Funny how that works. All right.
Well, hopefully that gets sorted out. But no, I thank you for clarifying because I saw that and I know that somebody was
I
like,
don't know what the
yelling at
question
somebody
would be,
I was like, I
though.
don't know. But then it just, knowing that the fact that it was, like you said, sort of feels like it's citing. I'm not sure if they just wanted a reaction of it or something. But I'm sure they could reach out to the UFC and ask for a statement. I mean, I'm sure they probably like wrote in them and asked for a statement on, as opposed to just hoping some media guy says it at a media day.
100%. It's
I would
easy
assume,
to,
but
yeah, could do that.
I don't know. That sounds like something a journalist would do.
I'm
not one of them, so I don't know.
That sounds like something you would do as a journalist. All right, listen. Hey, let's talk about. Give me the update on the standings. Pick standings.
Still up.
Still up?
It's up by 2, but this one will decide. I think we both picked differently. I think we both picked, and as much as I did pick Tyra, but man, after listening to Roy Val, man, I almost want to switch to Roy Val.
I'm torn. I am a Tetsuro Tire fan, but I'm a Raw Dog fan, bro. I
Like,
love Brandon Royval.
I'm literally considering switching because the fight. I think we both picked Park. Which one did we switch on? There is one. So this event is going to change the numbers.
Yeah.
So I'm either going to go up
Or
by
down.
one, or I'm going to go down by one or so.
Ooh, we'll follow along with
So
that.
we'll see. But yeah.
I'm surprised to see Raw Dog at a plus 200, plus 210, man. I'm a little bit
Really?
surprised with that. Yeah. By the way, man, he was all the stuff that he's been through. He's like, stay away from me. You don't want to be around me. I got like a black cloud
Came
over
into town
me.
and some buildings fell down. I was like, bro, do you hear when I asked him that?
Yes.
he's like, man, what? I was like, no, they imploded it.
He's like, I saw a homicide.
Yeah, because that just came out of the blue when we were talking. Who was it that was there? Was it Hernandez? Yeah, Hernandez was telling us. It just happened to come up at the very end of the night. Alex Hernandez, she was asked by a Utah reporter, so tell me about your time here in Utah. It was just at the end of the thing. He's like, man, I like Utah, whatever, it's been great, but dude, like I saw somebody like get shot today, and like I'm pretty sure they died, and he's like, one of my teammates ran after him and blah blah blah, and we're like, why didn't you lead with that? Like, what are you talking about? So then he tells the story about how when they're out and about and they heard these gunshots, and then somebody ran past them, and they were like, what's going on? And like the person didn't really acknowledge him or something, and just kind of continue running. And then I think somebody else came around the corner and was just like, that dude just shot somebody or whatever. And then Royval starts chasing after him. Alex is like, I'm going to go back to the thing and get ready because this was fight day. He's like, I'm going to go back and whatever. And Royval ran after and I think gave a witness report or something because he had to stick around and wait.
Right.
Then he got back, checked in with Alex. They got him all set to go, and then he went in there and did his thing. But yeah, he had a crazy, and then he talked about some other stuff. But that's a crazy. That's probably one of the craziest fight day stories that I can imagine anybody's had in the UFC.
That's wild, man.
Yeah, so
that's wild. Well, dude, I mean, look. We touched on it last week, right? Like, you were like, hey, Salt Lake City's great, but there's some weird stuff around here.
There's some weird shit, and we saw it again, man. It was crazy, man. Like,
It's gotten worse.
The drug users, like, right there in that middle of the town, much
that
worse.
Little park
much worse. The park, but even just up into the street. Like, literally, when I would go to lunch, I had to pass some that were, like, on the street already, like, fucked up off to the side. And then as night went on, got worse.
That sucks, man.
I think at one point, Jose got sort of accosted from a distance. Somebody was talking shit and blah blah blah. Oscar said at the night that he met up with us for dinner. He's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure this girl cracked down on something. She threw like a bike at me to get my attention or something. I was just like, there was literally this motel down, at the end of the block of where my hotel was, and it looked like you saw these people going in and out of all these rooms. It looked like it was run down and abandoned, but obviously it wasn't like cordoned off or whatever. But it looked like people just going in the rooms to like use and like sell or whatever. Man. And I don't know if that was something they set up and allowed them to say, hey, if you're going to do somewhere, go inside this place. But then that just sort of strung out into the street because nobody was stopping the people and doing whatever. So yeah, it was weird. There were definitely other parts of the town. It was clean, nice, and didn't see it.
Yeah.
This just happened to be maybe the area where they're like, if you're going to do it over here. But yeah, it was crazy. And then somewhere else, somebody got shot and killed. So
that's nuts, man.
Yeah. Crazy.
It's nuts, man. This world, man. Dude, so much going on right now. Some good fights, man. We talked about, like I said, didn't see D-Rod or Alex Morono. Abdul Razak Al-Hassan versus Josh Frem should be fun.
Should be good.
Like I said, I'm really interested with Jonathan Pierce and Pat Sabatini, obviously the former CFFC champ. But Jonathan Pierce is a tough, durable dude. Yep. Timbo Garembo versus Nico Price.
That's
like,
gonna be fun.
Come on, man. That's just going to be crazy. So some good names up and down it. I think it'll be a fun one. All right, I got to go because I've got to go get into meetings. Hopefully I'll have some more CFFC news soon. I will say that we did, I believe, yesterday get the entire NCAA Division I wrestling season for CFFC Match Day lined out, so we'll have an official announcement on all those, I think, coming very, very soon. But some very cool stuff. We talked about it a little bit on the last CFFC broadcast, but some very cool matchups, some very big names and big name programs this year, so a step up from last year, including super cool. The season starts on November 1st. for the entire NCAA wrestling season, except we got a special exemption from the NCAA that we will actually do the rematch of Campbell and Wyoming on October 31st on Halloween. So the entire NCAA wrestling season will actually kick off on UFC Fight Pass. It will be the only duel that's held that day. So we get the honor of being kind of like, week 0 in college football or whatever it may be, where we get to start things off there.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm excited about that, and hopefully some other additional news coming soon. Tonight, I'll see you over at the
Fight
Apex,
Pass
right?
Invitational.
Fight Pass Invitational.
Yeah, I'm gonna get in there and take some stills and get we'll probably get whatever interviews after that. And yeah, I'm gonna throw that up on our website after that.
I love it.
Someone want to go to our website and see some invitational stuff that doesn't normally qualify for junkie, so I'm going to throw that over on the roadshow afterwards. And I'll take some pics just to get some reps.
Appreciate you by the way. Exactly. Let us branch out a little bit. So check that out. Obviously, we will have an and a half episode over on patreon.com/the MMA Roadshow, where our new friend Joe Vidalis will be joining us. Appreciate Joe Vidalis becoming a member over there. By the way, signing up in the Mexican peso category. I like that. So hola, Joe Vidalis. Gracias por todo. Me gusta todo que tú... No sé.
I think he's over in the UK, so I think
he's in the UK?
Fine. Yeah.
He just signed up with... It says...
He's a Mexican living in the UK, I think.
Oh, okay. Well, I was trying to do Spanish in a British accent, but I don't know if I can pull that out.
¿Qué pasa? No, that doesn't work. How? Oh my gosh, that's a tough one. Try to do an accent of an accent.
A bottle of agua. That's all I got.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
That's all I got.
But no, we're happy to have him.
Okay, I didn't realize that. Really
and stay tuned. We got a couple weeks till episode 500. We're gonna get the logistics, but we are gonna aim to have that. If you're not a member over at the Patreon, you can. As much as we love our paid members, you can sign up for free. But that's where we're gonna put the link. We'll create a post on that, so you'll have to be at least signed up on the Patreon, even as a free member, and we will gonna get it worked out. But we're gonna do
get a schedule on that to a live one. Maybe like some. Like if there's some comments, or whatever, we can address comments. If we're doing live, right?
Why not? Why not?
Yeah,
that could be half the fun. We'll do ask.
Not Q&A kind of. I'm not
there's
saying
AMAs. Ask me anything. Ask AUAs. Ask us anything.
Ask us anything. I'm telling you. I'm not saying. Well, maybe not anything.
But not that we're going to answer everything. But you can ask
you
whatever
can ask
you want.
Whatever you want. I'm trying to.
We might ignore every damn.
I'm trying
to
stay married. I'm trying to. I'm not trying to answer everything. All right, listen. Busy day ahead. It'll be a fun week. Like I said, there's grappling tonight. If you want to watch that, Friday night, Tough Enough. I'll be on the call on UFC Fight Pass. So if you happen to be in Las Vegas, it'll be over at the Virgin.
Juan's fighting on that, isn't he?
He is. I think he got added kind of late.
Nice.
Yeah, he got added kind of late to that because he wasn't on the original bout sheet that I saw. So got to get my notes finalized for that. But I will have that. So that's this Friday night. I'll go ahead and throw it on your radar for next Friday night as well. CFFC 137. We got a stack card in Philadelphia. So I will be out at 2300 Arena next Friday to return to the action for CFFC. It's going to be a fun lineup. Maybe, well, I won't say anything. No, I'll keep that for now.
Is it CM Punk? I'm not saying. Is he making a return?
I don't know.
I just saw that he fought or competed recently.
I heard there was maybe I've not heard anything confirmed, so I don't know if it's maybe on that one or it's maybe like later in the year. But I heard that some of his schedule is freeing up, that he's going to have a little bit of time. So,
dude, I wouldn't mind if they did more on screen with Gina. She is fun. Well, she is smart, but she is cute as all get out. But dude, she is sharp, man. You guys work pretty good together.
Yeah, we've done a couple shows. It's going to take some. I know it just takes time. Like the more reps you get together, but she's good. She actually it was great. She was in town actually as well. She came in town, Vegas. She actually just flew out this morning. So Rob Haydack, Miranda Granger in town for some meetings that I'm a part of as well. And then she came in town to just kind of hang out. She's friends with Laura Sanko, and so she'd never been to a Contender Series event, never been to the Apex. And so with everybody coming into Vegas, her and her husband came to Vegas as well.
That's awesome.
And so we actually all got to go out and have dinner the other night together. So Gina was there, her husband was there.
Oh, she's sharp. I enjoyed listening to her. She knows her shit. Does she compete?
Does she
grapple?
She's trained, but her husband competes as well.
Okay.
So she's
you could tell when she was breaking it down good. I'm like, all right. I'm like, yeah, she knows her shit. shit.
Yeah, she's around the
Very
sport,
cool.
so good
Very
stuff. So I will. I don't know what the plans are. We're trying to figure all that. That's what we're trying to get the fall all lined up.
It'd be cool to see CM again.
I know. As Genie's doing a great job at
Punk's fun.
He's fun, man. He makes it exciting. So
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll have him back next week. That's what I said. I don't want to say anything because I'm not sure, but I believe there may be some events that he's able to be a part of soon because I think his schedule's freeing up a little bit.
That's awesome.
So we'll update you on all that as soon as we can. In the meantime, we appreciate everybody spending a little bit of time with us. Enjoy all the action coming up this weekend. And, of course, thanks for listening.